Hello everyone, my name is Stephen Langley and this is my level Mad Lab Escape. So I wanted to show you guys a little document of what we had going on with my level. This is the level story. The player is Agent 13 and he's trying to collect his files from an evil organization so that way they can stop the destruction of the world. This is kind of like this was the story of it, and this is kind of what I created out of that story. I went ahead and kept it as a first person game, kind of gave it more of a collectible type feel. You do have three different paths. They are the warehouse, the lab, and the cave path. In the cave path, you get to do quite a few different things by grapple hooking onto the grapple points, collecting the diamond collectibles. As you go through the level, you notice how all three paths are actually intertwined into like an Easter egg of how this is the actual backstory of what's going on. They mine the crystals in the cave. In the lab, they research and develop stuff. And then in the warehouse is where they actually put their action out of crystals and using them like that. So this is the diagram of what I have going on. You can see the main objectives right here in the past that you can go through. You also get to see all the little things that you can do in here. You see these machines and platforms that the player must go through and use to be able to make their way through the warehouse. And these are the little offices that a player can go through to get the collectibles and find a key and get through the doorway. You can actually see the objectives and stuff coming up in the next map. Right here is the top-down map of everything that's in here. You kind of see where the diamonds are and where you get things going on. Like grapple hook tutorial is right when you walk through the cave. This is where the player starts and where the player ends. These are machines and so on and so forth. So let's take a look at the objectives now. Now, as you can see, the objectives are picking up diamonds, so I went ahead and labeled those. This is the main objective here, which is finding the files and ending. Like I said, you're in like a holding cell, so that's where you start. And each one of these paths is really, you can just take whichever one you want to go through. Find collectibles and use the platforms and use keys to get through these doorways. This doorway is also locked off. This area is actually a vent. So when I started out, as you can see, this was the original block. It was just, this is where the player starts at. Here's the little vent that I was talking about. It's more like a loop. Um, there wasn't really anything in the block mesh start. I just added lighting. As you can see, this is the end area. There's not a lot. I tried to put the file room kind of next to the exit and by the other end of the vent. And this was the cave entryway. If you go through here on the player start, and through that louver, you'll see this cave here, and there's not a lot of stuff in it, but I did want to add the grapple points and where I was going in at. Um, Coming up, I did have a few testers check out this game, and now I did have it in the towards the end of the final testings. I will play the updated final version coming up. Right now, I just have with the ones that the play testers did was the one before all the updates and everything. I did was I took down some notes from them and their playtest did. And these are some notes that came up. I did notice that the message would flash up. The player wouldn't even really see it because it would flash up and fade out so fast. So they would end up having to figure out how to grapple in the cave and if it even existed. So I made sure that I put that on there longer. And I did notice that I had a new player play this game that's not really used to playing these type of games on the computer. They're like a mobile type gamer, and I really seen they liked it a lot. They enjoyed collecting uh, the collectible diamonds and stuff. They really enjoyed the Easter egg hunt, calling it. So yeah, and then I mean this game is definitely not every. This is actually what the data was from testing. As you can see, the times grappled shows that they were in the cave. It shows that, this guy didn't really take the cave at all. He went to the other paths. So did Kelly over here. This was the new player. As you could tell, they grappled a little more. The usual grapple, you could see right here, the actual grapple, since there's only four in the cave, to see that she had a little trouble. So you can tell that she was doing. This guy over here, Matthew, he absolutely loved the grapple. I was watching him play, and he just kept grappling over, laughing, the player moving and grappling through the cave, and you can tell right here which players took what paths by the keys. And by using all the rest of these right here, because on the keys, if you go through the lab and the warehouse, you only find one key. If you go through both, you find two. So as you can see, three players actually took the lab and or warehouse path to complete their levels, and you can see that these two actually went and grabbed both lab and the warehouse level, and actually the cave as well. Matthew did all three. So that's easy to tell by looking at all this kind of stuff and how they go. Machines were actually only located inside the warehouse, and you can tell who went into the warehouse and whether or not they were able to activate both machines or not. And then right down here is how many diamonds they all collected. Matthew actually collected all of them in the level. This playtester really didn't like collecting them, so he just kind of got what was in it that he could see. So that was one that was like a fail to me, but it still happened. I still got really good feedback on the others of collecting the. So they really did like the Easter egg hunt. So that's something I. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the gameplay of my final build, and I hope you guys like it. So to start out, I didn't have an objective in the block mesh, so I went ahead and put this in here. I'm going to go through the cave. As you remember from the beginning, this was not in here in the block mesh. This is the louver, and this is the pickup. So I use that as a breadcrumb to come over here and show them that they can move this vent and go into a cave. Here's the grapple point message. As you can see, it's on the bottom screen, and it did fade off really fast before, and now I think I have a good timing in it. Players can walk up here and go and explore through the cave a lot and pick up all these little collectibles. There are a lot of collectibles throughout this entire cave. I just kind of wanted to show you that you can pick them up and have an interact message pop up on it. It works really good. And that is the grapple mechanic. You can actually just point and click at it. A cable pops up and the character goes flying on through the air. And it's really fun when you get going, because if he goes from a far away place and you just hold it as much as you can get him flying just right. And this is really a fun part for a lot of people as they go soaring through the air and landing. Um, Once again, this was actually, you remember whenever you walked in, it was really bare. So I went in here and I added a little more of these crystal lights, so that way it bounced off the cave. And I also added these crystals in here to kind of show what they are and show that people mine them. That the researchers will mine them, and pick them up and take them. Obviously, they didn't pick up all of the diamonds to get power out of, or I wouldn't pick up. Go all the way through the back, down the back. And I really wanted to try a new color for the cave, but I still wanted to keep it. I wanted to keep it realistic, but give a sense of fantasy in. So that's kind of why I added the purple and the green in there. I threw the green in to kind of show where the player could go at the end. And as you notice right there, I just fell right through. This is supposed to be a master grapple mechanic area. So if the player is actually good enough, they can shoot up in here and land just like I did and pick up these three collectibles. And now you can also tell by when you looked at the data chart on the diamond collectible area that there's a certain amount of diamonds in each area. So if you get over a certain amount, you can tell where the player actually takes what path to. And before I had I had these little overlap volumes that were caves and lab house paths in certain spots that tell the player at the end stats where they are going to. This is the exit area. This is actually conjoins all three paths. The warehouse is through that door, the office path is through that door, and of course I just came through the cave path. Once in here, you can go around and collect diamonds, and see the little research area and where they all relax and how they got in here and everything and stuff like that. And once you go over here though at the exit, you'll see that you're trying to leave, but you got to find the files. So let's go back in here into this file room. Select your little diamond, and as you can see all these little files. Now you walk up to one of them and you can interact. It slides in and out, but you couldn't find the files. So let's go to this one. Since I can enter up, there they are. Press E to collect the secret files. So let's go in here. Let's try this again. And as you can see, it pops up these stats and it shows you what path I took. I took the cave. See how many times I grappled, how many machines were activated, how many diamonds I collected, and how many keys found.